Hey YouTube, if you're expecting another one of my silly little Twitch stream archives, yeah, sorry, this is not it. Because there's, um, among my other interests are, besides the video games that I play on stream and post the archives to here to this little YouTube channel, I am a big fan of two things, cartoons and toys, because I grew up in the 80s and, well, Jesus Christ. I mean, uh, you know, that's the 80s right there. Cartoons, video games, and action figures like you wouldn't believe. I mean, grew up in the decade of He-Man and, Transformers and all that. But the big one, the big daddy for me has always been, on both cartoon and toy front, has always been G.I. Joe. So, I get a little email yesterday, and, well, it's, oh boy. It was from Super7. So, if you are not familiar with Super7, they do a bunch of tchotchkes and, action figure stuff and, t-shirts and everything. So, in the past few years, they've been grabbing licenses to just about goddamn every nostalgia property you can get. And their big splash was picking up the license for He-Man and the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Their classics figures that were started under Mattel's online service, but Mattel discontinued the service, and they sold a license to the Super7 company to do it. So, they did that for a couple years till Mattel just decided, yeah, we're not doing that shit anymore. Because Mattel's pushing with that, that fucking cartoon that's about to come out next Friday. Yeah, I'm not anticipating that. And the live action movie, and I'm sure if you've been stupid and gone out to actual physical stores during this pandemic, I'm sure you've seen the action, the Origins toys and the toys for that new cartoon and all that stuff. So Mattel took away the license, took back the license because, oh hey, we got all this stuff we want to do. We are sick of just having Masters of the Universe be a niche thing. I think they were kind of keyed in a little bit on the success of the She-Ra reboot, for better or for worse. But I think the fact of the matter is that everybody's looking for classic properties to sell into big budget movies, and Mattel's realized, oh yeah, that's right, we've got fucking He-Man. So they went for that. But anyway, but there are certain issues with that. There's been quality control issues, there's been pricing issues, and there's been the problem that, especially with the last couple of waves of those He-Man figures, and definitely for some of the other properties, which I'm not very interested in, their delivery. Like, the last He-Man wave, it took them a fucking year to put it. A good year past, I think a good year past the expected delivery date. So I'm like, I get this email just before, I find it in my email inbox yesterday, just before I'm going to my job. So I'm like, okay, I don't have very much time to look at it. I click the link in this I see this, and the render for Duke here, his face is not very good. That's, okay, that's a me thing. I'll leave it right there. That's a bit of a me thing, but that's, otherwise it's like, oh hey, despite the groaning, I'm like, wow, these are very cartoon accurate. Like, more cartoon accurate than the cartoon based toys that Hasbro kinda sorta half-assed did during the 25th anniversary push for the actual toys. So I read this, I see that, and they show all of these images of, their first four, Duke and Snake Eyes, which that's a completely different thing Cobra Commander and the bats. And they're already trying to put it in your head that you want to buy more than one bat, because that's why you do the Cobra fucking bats, is because they're troop builder types. That's what they've always been. They've always been troop builder types. They're just like them and the Cobra Troopers and all that. And of course, I noted there's more, a video on YouTube from their hype man, Brian Flynn, which is another thing, because Flynn he's a total hype man. I know I think he runs the company, but the fact is that he's a total hype man, and, he's only does these every so often, and they don't really talk to their public very much. I think they had, before the He-Man business ended, or at least before everybody got completely pissed off with them, he had lines of communication at heman.org and all this other stuff. But that's so. I didn't look at that. The only thing I was able to look at was the website real goddamn quickly. So, and, this is what came up. Was the page. And I'm like, oh, hey, screw fucking Power Rangers. I hate that. But Power Rangers is one of the things that they have, these ultimates, that are highly accurate, and they cost a fucking mint and everything. Because look at these. The first warning sign is $55 a figure, which is more than what they started out with He-Man. I mean, but I can look at these. I've watched the cartoon enough times to where I can look at these, and I can see some issues as a cartoon fan, like, what the hell are you doing here? And, I mean, some of these are kind of nitpicky, besides the price, and besides the $220 for it. Luckily, right now, Super7 has a payment plan, but, that's, Super7 having a payment plan, is something they've had before and they haven't had, because, like, I would have their last wave of He-Man figures if they had had a payment plan. I would have probably been super duper pissed over the massive delay in that final wave, but that's neither here nor there. And so, anyway, might as well just go down the line here with this. Thank goodness for screen capture. So, with Duke, when you actually get to it, these, unlike the render in the email, the head sculpts look fucking great. I mean, obvious, it's the standard normal face Duke, and, oh yeah, you have a separate head for Duke, kind of doing the Yojo face, shouting Yojo from the intros and everything. It's fine. And you also have Duke with his headset, with that radio headset, which is a lot of episodes. A lot of episodes. Because it just is. And you have a bunch of these accessories. But the thing that is that some of these accessories make sense. Some of these don't. The green helmet makes sense because there are a couple episodes, especially if they're going for the mass device thing, which I think they are based on 3 of the 4 figures here, that, that in mass, when they were in the plane, Duke would have a helmet on. It wouldn't. I didn't go into my files or anything. Well, actually, I probably fucking can. Since, if you will, indulge me for a second, because I have goddamn a ton of screenshots, because I theoretically run a website where I review stuff, but I haven't done jack and or shit in so long because I'm a slacker and other things going on. But let's see. Fuck. No, I don't have. Damn it. Whatever. Fine. I don't have it. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that it was that the helmet had a bit of a bump in the center, because that's what the so-called green shirts, the generic Joes have. That the generic helmet has a little bump in the center. But that's fine. They gave a helmet for this 7-inch figure, fine and dandy. You know, and they gave a radio. I can't remember which episode off the top of my head this is from. The watch is from. This is kind of a deep cut here. This is from Synthoid Conspiracy, when the Synthoid Duke communicates with fucking Cobra as he's spying on everybody. So kind of a deep cut, but oh hey, you know, this is why they call it Ultimates. You know, but here we get here. It's like, oh hey, here's a very accurate rendering of the generic G.I. Joe laser rifle that every Joe carried through the end of the first season. They kind of backed off slightly in the second season because somebody decided, oh hey, we're gonna have everybody use their actual toy weapons. They kind of did it a little bit with like Footloose and a couple of others in season 1, but they went whole hog in season 2 trying to have everybody with their actual weapons. But this is a toy weapon. It's like, why are you doing that? He never used it in the show. This just came with a toy. And I'm like, why? You wasted money on this. Good money. Part of the $55 is theoretically going into this weapon that he never used on the show. I mean, why not give him the Cobra laser rifle? Because there are many instances of Duke picking up a Cobra laser rifle. You know, because he gets captured every fucking episode, it seems like. Love Duke as a character, but he gets captured a lot. We all know he gets captured a lot. And the binoculars, I mean, they're accurate to the toy, but there are a couple of times where he uses binoculars. I think Cobra's creatures and maybe a couple other. The hands are fine. The extra hands are fine. You know, what can you say? They're fine. The extra hands thing has never been an issue with any of these Ultimates toys. Or, you know, there are tons of deluxe toys which have multiple hands. Yeah, you got, you know, you can have him hold the, you know, the gun, you know, trigger finger in left or right. You know, obviously you can have, you know, left or right be that holds the you know, the butt of the rest of the gun in his second hand, you know, blah blah blah. But then it gets really dumb. It's like you have him a backpack. It's like virtually no one on the G.I. Joe cartoon used a backpack. I mean, like, virtually no one. Other than a parachute. Which, of course, G.I. Joe is infamous for the parachute role. We all know it. Don't need to get into it. Virtually no one used a backpack in this series because they just didn't consider it a big deal. So why? So you got two accessories that are just like, why? I mean, other than that, okay, it looks fine, but it's still a render. I mean, in the video from Brian Flynn, they had an actual prototype, but prototype don't mean shit. It looks fine, but until I actually see a physical example, I can't say anything. I mean, because yes, it has his airborne wings. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't go a little crazy and have the flag on one of his shoulders that's in Revenge of Cobra, but I mean, that would be crazy town talk. But still, it's like Duke is fine except for a couple of things. But then we get into Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander, oh hey, cartoon accurate, has a ton of extra hands. Has basically every weapon every non-generic Cobra weapon that he's ever handled. He has a big rifle from the fucking season 1 intro, which has never been rendered in toy. Has 3 different flavors of pistols. This one I know he used in the movie and appeared a lot in the show in the hands of both sides. These other 2, I'm pretty sure I know were in the show, but I can't recall. This is the cape and the scepter from part 5 of Mass Device. I mean, it seems to be a missed opportunity to not have a scrunched snake head, because if you remember the scene in Mask Part 5, Destro getting all pissy with Cobra Commander being stupid, scrunches it, as the assertion that he's taken power. And other than that, the control panel for the cloaking device from Cobra Stops the World, the infamous Synthoid destruction switch from Synthoid Conspiracy, very good. Even has the purple kill every Synthoid everywhere thing lit up. So, I mean, I don't know if this switch moves, but having that purple one there is very appropriate since Cobra Commander dumb. Although, I will say, if I want to get super nitpicky, this wasn't in the center. This was to one of the two sides, I want to say. But that's getting a little nitpicky even for me. Binoculars, something that Cobra Commander's used to here. But here's the thing. What the hell are you doing with a second helmeted head that the only difference is when you're going for cartoon accuracy, the only difference is that there's a Cobra Commander head with no helmet stripe, which is basically, oh, hey, we're going to make it look a little more like the toy. And it's like, yeah, you still have the crease. But the thing of it is, this is so lazy because, and it's also telling me that you're going to milk people's money. Because if you want a second Cobra Commander head, and you're not going to fucking do the, wrecked Cobra Commander body parts for the movie after he gets exposed by the spores, the second head should be a hood. Because the hooded Cobra Commander design in the cartoon, which you are obviously going for extreme accuracy too, the hooded Cobra Commander head is basic, the rest of the body is exactly the same. In fact, they made a point of it because when they were showing it off, especially in the early part of season 1's production, when the episodes were being written in 1984, they were showing it off because that's what Hasbro wants. It's like, so you've already shown that you're being a bit cheap here because they always, these toy company types with these say, the heads are the most expensive part. The heads are the most expensive parts. So basically, which is so funny because you're gonna fucking scam people into getting another $55 Cobra Commander, which might have a couple of different accessories. There are different capes that Cobra Commander has worn. There are different scepters that he's had. There's all sorts of different shit. I mean, you got a good fucking bit of business here, but Cobra Commander, you're effectively screwing people over by not including the hooded head. And then there's also this snake with a globe thing, which Flynn in his video, he claims that this is from the video game commercial. I was like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. At the most, the commercial that I could maybe see this from is the comic and later on toy ad for Serpentor that he had that, but I don't recall. I can't. It looks familiar, but it's not from the series. So it's really kind of, again, when you're going for comic accuracy, cartoon accuracy, I should say, why are you including random stuff like this when there are more than enough things that you could do? I mean, again, the fact that they included, and he points out that it's a soft goods cape, and it looks like in this image that it's going to be a cloth cape, which, hey, but it seems just silly. Snake Eyes, I don't even need to click on the link. Snake Eyes is goddamn fine. It's, they've, in fact, it's more accurate than any toy that Hasbro has ever done for this mass device Snake Eyes, which they've done maybe 2, maybe 3 that represent it. It has the right color scheme, all that. Plus, it has extra hands. The accessories are all things that he used in Mass Device, including a jump jet, which, fucking frankly, you should have included a jump jet with Duke as well instead of this stupid backpack, because I'ma tell ya, fucking Duke, like just about everybody else, has used that jetpack. I mean, both sides have used the goddamn jetpack, to be perfectly honest. But then we get another dumb thing with the bats. Besides the fact that they're definitely trying to sucker in people that have way too much money here to buy a ton of them, which I get it. I get the logic. But it's really foolhardy logic when it's this scale in this price point. Who the hell has the money to drop fucking, I don't know, hundreds of dollars on multiple of bats? And I mean, the damaged heads and the damaged arm parts. I think the hand here, I think, is intended to invoke one of the early season 2 episodes where a broken off, where a ripped off bat hand is like holding on to Shipwreck's leg with dear life, and they have to, there's a kind of a gag slash misdirection where Lifeline's going for a hacksaw, and for a second you think that somebody needs to lose a leg, and it's like, no, need a hacksaw to get the goddamn bat hand off of Shipwreck's leg, which is fine. And it's like, the backpack is fine. It looks like it's going to only have 2 slots, which is consistent with the show, actually. Even if they have the three tools, that actually came with the toy, this seems about consistent. And the extra hands are fine. This laser pistol is one of the common designs for laser pistols on the show. It's fine. But here's another big thing. What the fuck is this laser? Bats didn't use this shit. Bats used the Cobra, the same laser weapon that came with the Cobra Viper toy, which was brand new the same year. And all the fucking Cobras just suddenly dropped the previous standard Cobra laser weapon, which is based on the Nazi MP-40 submachine gun. With, kind of simplified and with a laser scope and with a sight scope added to it to kind of, genericize it here. But this is like, not, it's like, it's got the tip of the Viper laser rifle, and it's got the little scope there, but it's not even close to being accurate to that that rifle that came with the Viper toys and that was used in the show. It's like, you're doing all of this cartoon accurate, you're making this cartoon accurate, and you get a fairly simple thing wrong. I don't know if they had access, and it looks like they had access to Sunbow design files, because those are all traded about. Hasbro through Dark Horse or IDW or someone has printed up a lot of their Sunbow design files for most of this stuff. But it's like, you're hyping this up as cartoon accurate, and you're making pretty obvious mistakes with the accessories. And besides the fact that the price is just fucking insanity. And then, but these are minor complaints compared to what Flynn was getting in his damn video, because he was getting into spending a lot of time on this. These reaction figures of the first wave of this, and it's like, the reaction line is, I hate this line. I hate this line. This is where most of the where Super 7 has got most of their licenses, is these 4-inch-ish figures that have what I consider to be the Star Wars articulation, which the classic late 70s, early 80s Star Wars figures, which is to say, they move at the shoulders, and they move at the legs, and they can hold, They can maybe hold stuff in their hands if it's been molded, but that's it. But it's like, and of course, in this instance, they're making a big deal about Quinn was making a big deal about how this is all cartoon accurate. In fact, he's going on, besides the race of the Cobra Troopers, which, I mean, not very many black. There's only, I can name one black Cobra Trooper throughout the entire cartoon, and that was Lieutenant Claymore, who had a unique design, and part of that was the thinking of the time that it was bad to show a black man as a troop in the enemy force and all this. It's the logic of it is highly dubious, but the fact is, and he's making a big deal about how, and this is actually accurate to the show, how some of them have a triangle back for their back, the straps. Some of them at some points they had a triangle backs. At some point they had an H back. That's like fine. That's fine. But the thing of it is, and in fact, the reality that you've gone all out here for accurate things, and in fact a fully accurate Baroness to match the mass device, which is the first time Hasbro attempted to do a Baroness in the style, but they weren't 100% accurate on it because they were half-assing and doing reused parts from other places. But, I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but the thing of it is, this articulation is an insult to anybody who, like me, has a goddamn, is interested in G.I. Joe. Because the reaction articulation is not G.I. Joe. There's no folding at the elbows. There's no swivel arm battle grip. There's no O-ring in the chest, that so that you can have them do it, so that the legs splay out. So these figures cannot fucking fit in, I would say, probably 99% of fucking G.I. Joe vehicles, given the design. And the 1%, I'm probably being very, very, very fucking generous. Because the fact is, I don't think that they could fit in, presuming that they are the exact fucking, height of the classic 80s ones. It's damned it's just not compatible with existing toys. And it's like, so who is this for? If it's for cartoon fans, it's like, okay, but cartoon fans fucking like me, I got vehicles. Vehicles are close enough. Vehicles were never the problem. It was always the look of the figures. And now you give me a bunch of characters that can't do figures. And you're pretty well off on the accuracy of them. Snake Eyes comes with the, generic rifle, and he comes with that pistol that the big version does. Scarlet has crossbow. It's not as accurate as the one that came with the original Scarlet toy to it, but she comes with her freaking her pack of arrows. I mean, but it's so fine. Cobra Commander comes with one of the various laser pistols. Destro has his standard, the laser pistol that he usually used, plus the wrist rockets. The Baroness is a bit of an issue because I don't even know where the hell they got this laser design out, this weapon design from. And the generic Joes come with the generic frickin' Joe rifle, which hell they probably got that mold. That's something that generic Joe rifle mold they probably got straight from goddamn Hasbro. And for the Cobras, they got the generic, the generic Cobra, rifle, which is their own mold because it's never been that accurate. The stand-in that was more closer to the design of the Nazi MP40 rifle wasn't quite this exact, and some of them apparently are coming with a pistol which seems to be dubiously accurate to the show. But the thing of it is, Quinn does it. Flynn, I should say, Brian Flynn does two things that are complete horseshit. First off, why are you including Quinn, a character from the comics? And then he makes the claim that Quinn is fucking unique. That it's never happened. That there's never been a Quinn fucking toy in this scale. There's never been a Quinn toy at all. That is bullshit. Because there are one and there are two fucking figures of they're not fully accurate to the comic, but I don't care about the comic. But the fact is, there have been two freaking toys. This came out in, what is it here? Because pulled this from yojo.com. This came out in 2004 with, when Hasbro was doing a bunch of 3-packs with comics, and they were doing, kit bashing together figures. And this second version is in the 25th anniversary design aesthetic and came out in 2013 when they were doing when the line was mostly obsessed with G.I. Joe retaliation and came with a ton of gear. Because, look at it. This is the card back. Retaliation. Fucking there's the Rock. So that just shows it to you. So he's either lying or stupid here, because he's saying this figure's never had, this figure who doesn't fit in with the rest of the assortment at all has never existed. It's like, no, I'm right here telling you, it is. This is JoJo.com. For better or for worse, when it comes to toys, 3 3/3 quarter G.I. Joe toys based on the 80s run, this is pretty much the best place to go. And then he also does it for the G.I. Joe Trooper, the green shirts. It's like, no, look at this guy. He came in a big old fucking box set with a single Firefly figure. Look at it, 4 of them. It's like the colors are not 100% fucking accurate, but look at that. You got the generic fucking Joe rifle. You got all that. It was at Toys R Us, which shows you how long ago it has been that anybody's tried to sell anything for fucking G.I. Joe on any real consistent level. And in 2008, which was the second year of the so-called 25th anniversary line. So it's like he's basically blowing smoke up the ass with these toys, with these reaction figures, which are already freaking an insult, just an insult to anybody that collects G.I. Joe toys or has any interest, because they're not compatible with the line, both in terms of articulation and especially the vehicles. And the worst part is that he's doing there's these massive variants of freaking Cobras. They show 6 because they have a light skin. This is such bad terminology by Flynn as well. A pink Cobra Trooper, a tan Cobra Trooper, and I shit you not, this is exactly what he fucking said in that YouTube video, a brown Cobra Viper. It's like, it's not brown. You call him African American or black. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Do you not understand the concept of race in this goddamn world? But it's like, these figures are just not, I could take it if they were in the 80s style. That would be fine if they had the O-rings and they had the swivel arm battle grip and all that sort of thing. Because, hell, Hasbro doesn't even have an exclusive patent on that anymore. Because the Leonard, who made the core, which was the generic G.I. Joe, they had that shit for years. They were using that at the turn of the century, finally. And even before then, they were using the frickin'... For years, they were using the straight arm design of the original of the 82 Joes for years and years and years. And it's like, these figures are, and you're going to sell these figures for somewhere between $15 and $20 each. It's like, what the hell? Really? What in the world? And the worst part is, the absolute goddamn worst part of the whole fucking thing is that this is the first time anybody has really made a good, solid effort to sell to Sunbow fans. Nobody gives Sunbow fans credit. The Sunbow series, they've dismissed the series as a source for any movie. Especially the one that's coming out, that's just about to come out. You know, since it's based on fucking Snake Eyes and all ninja shit, you know it has nothing to do with cartoon. It has nothing to do with the cartoon. And they've said, well, we're not going to base our stuff on a cartoon. For the previous films. So it's like, why should I watch? I don't care about the comic. I read some of the comics back in the 80s, but I didn't give a shit. I mean, in the cartoon, I'm very much pro-cartoon, and I know that the cartoon lasted a lot longer than comic, because cartoon was airing until USA killed the Cartoon Express in the fall of 1996. That's 2 years after the comic got killed when the toy line died. So, I mean, the cartoon is highly successful, highly loved. YouTube doesn't give it any love, because I bet I could go and really shame y'all. I could shame all of YouTube and be like, look for Don Jurwich, who just the voice director, producer, director of much of G.I. Joe, including the movie. I could look up that and see if any of you even mentioned it, and no, you didn't. You didn't mention Wally Burr. You didn't mention Steve Gerber dying. You didn't mention any of the big names. You didn't care. You know, you just didn't care. The fandom does, the very online fandom for G.I. Joe just doesn't care. But here we are, finally get something for the toys, and it's like, it's more Super 7, just like, what the fuck? It really, what in the world? Besides the price point on those 7-inch figures, which who knows if they're going to be able to complete it, because Super 7 has that issue. They have too many things going on. They have, like what I showed, they have fucking Ultimates for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They have Ultimates for Thundercats. They have Ultimates for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They have all these things. A lot of them are delayed. A good ton of them are absolutely, and I mean absolutely, just beyond delayed. They've had that problem for years now. I mean, I don't even believe this. What was did they even additional way? Because the reaction figures, I expect them to show up soon. They don't have pre-order, and they don't show anything. They say additional waves can be expected later this year and beyond. And they're you know, of course, all of this bullshit, you know, the premier fan product. Let me pull up this screen here. Yeah, the premier fan product, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but yeah, so the delivery of the wave is expected in spring of 2022. It's like, I don't believe that you're going to do it. You've been behind constantly. Besides the fact is that if they're charging ridiculous premium prices for these because they're only doing a limited pre-order. They're not going to make any more of these. Well, except for Cobra Commander, because we're going to get a fucking hooded Cobra Commander at some point if they continue on, if it sells. Maybe. I mean, because there's a big risk here. Who knows? Because who knows if they're gonna do anything. I know that the Thundercats freaking Ultimates they're big controversies, especially with that Thunder Tank. I mean, the Silverhawks wave that they're doing right now is just a total shit show because they haven't even tried to make it look chromed. I mean, truth be told, this Cobra Commander here, the fucking silver on his helmet is closer to chrome than the entirety of those Silverhawks figures. And which is just absolute crazy town to think. And that's another thing. I don't know if they're going to have it be silver with fucking Cobra Commander's faceplate. I think that they might, since it's probably a painted on detail and the head is probably fucking, blue. I would, who knows? Who knows? Real big guess. But I have a feeling that all of these details on the bat are just going to be flat, gray, which is dubious at best, even for something from a cartoon, even something from a cartoon like G.I. Joe. But it's like, this is the first time that anything has been clearly, squarely aimed at fans of the Sunbow series in toy form pretty much ever. I mean, yes, the 25th line did figures that were from the G.I. Joe cartoon, but they weren't very accurate. They were not very accurate. I mean, they did a toy accurate version of Lady J. Then they did one for the DVD Battles sets, which are just laughable. That was barely even, other than a head sculpt, barely even qualified as cartoon accurate. Then in a hard to find exclusive set, they finally did a fully accurate Lady J figure. But I mean, it certainly was, none of those figures were ever in accurate Sunbow, bright, with the bright color palette. Although you can argue how accurate that color palette is, because when you think bright color palette, you're thinking the garbage DVDs, which go straight to incomplete film sources instead of the more accurate videotape masters, which have somewhat more muted colors. But still, this is the first thing that I can say has been squarely conceived and thought for cartoon fans, with the exception of this fucking Quinn figure, which Super 7 has lied about its provenance, saying it's the first time ever. It's like, no, it's not the first fucking time ever! I just showed you! Same with the green shirts. They've done it before. You might be a little bit more accurate on the colors, but not really. And, and it says something, those green shirts in 2008 were entirely sourced from figure parts that Hasbro had already done at that time. And they're probably better figures because they have the articulation. And that pack probably cost, I think it cost maybe $30 at most in 2008. But it is so shamefaced. It just drives me absolutely up the wall, that this is the first fucking thing that I can say is clearly marketed at me that's a toy. The first piece of swag. Because back in the 80s, back when I didn't care, everything was the toy art. The G.I. Joe, the lunchbox, used the same art that was on the little posters that came with the toys. All of the art was there, all the assets, all the toys were focused on the toys and not the cartoon. This is the first thing, and it's a total, absolute scam. It is a total scam. And the worst part is that I am considering getting those 7-inch figures, even though I know that I'm going to be stuck with these with a line that is nowhere near complete. It is not going to be completed. I'm almost certain of it. Or at least it's not going to get much past the core characters. And then we got to get into the fact is what happens when they do Zartan, and well, to a lesser extent, Xandar and Zorana, but definitely Zartan, because Zartan turns fucking blue. They're not going to do that, right? They're not going to have color-changing plastic. Hasbro barely ever does that. Hasbro did that like 2 or 3 fucking times. At most. And they definitely didn't do it for the cartoon-accurate Zartan. The 2 cartoon-accurate Zartan toys. The one with the glowing red chest plate and the one with the standard colors, which weren't even correct standard colors because everything that was a dark deep blue on the on the actual cartoon character was a black, because Hasbro. But it is just so it is so embarrassing to me. And it's like, since it's Super 7, I didn't expect a whole lot. I am actually impressed that it looks as flawless from these renders and from those prototypes that Flynn showed, relatively speaking. But it's still such an insult, because the smaller figures, which would be what I would gravitate towards, since it matches the toy. Well, you can't see it over there, but I'm not going to move the camera. But the toys that I have, it doesn't matter. The thing that matches the toys that I have that would be more affordable, the articulation is bullshit. And they have to know that it's bullshit, because the articulation has always been the swivel arm, the swivel arm and the bending arm and the bending knee, and the fact that you can splay out the crotch so that they can sit in vehicles, and there's none of that. So the best option of these are these $55 figures, which I have less faith in that seeing anywhere near the main cast. And I'll be generous when I say main cast. When I think main cast of G.I. Joe, I think of Duke, Flint, Scarlet, Lady J, Shipwreck, probably Hawk. Well, Sergeant Slaughter is not going to fucking happen. We know that. Even if I think they even have a deal with, I think they might have something going with the WWE, but the Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joe 7-inch toy is not going to happen. We know that there. But anyway, there's maybe a couple of handfuls, and on Cobra, I would be like, Cobra Commander, the Baroness, Destro, Zartan, the 3 Dreadnoks, the Crimson Guard Commanders, and then, so on and so forth. It's like, I could, I don't have any faith in them completing even the 25 to 30 figures. That would be a full reckoning of the, that would make it feel like a full set. And that would be a wildly inaccurate term, because a full set of G.I. Joe characters is like something like 100 strong. They actually, the Sunbow staff actually kind of sat down and, did the numbers sometime around the 2nd season. They realized they had like 100 characters that appeared in like 2 episodes or more, which is kind of scary. And who knows if Super 7 gets in their druthers to do toys, or if they get the crazy ass idea to do, like, say, one of those Cobra robots at that 7-inch scale, or Ramar, or anything crazy town like that. I have no faith in them to really complete it. And it just feels like a slap at one side. It feels like a little bit of, like, a slight, tiny bit of vindication as a fan, primarily the cartoon show. that tiny bit of indication that finally getting something that's marketed towards me as opposed to, oh, hey, we got to do fucking, got to be based on the comic, got to be Snake Eyes Super Ninja. It's like, no, you don't. Yeah, the comic sold 1 million at its height, but do you know how many more people watched a cartoon on free television that was top 5 rated syndicated cartoon pretty much its entire run? Yeah, it's just so sad. And the worst part is Hasbro doesn't even have faith enough in the cartoon to do it themselves. It would be one thing if Hasbro did their HasLab scam, but no, they have to hand this off to Super7 because they don't want to do it. They want to leave it to Super fucking 7. It's like, what? Really? Really? That's who you're leaving it off with. You're leaving it off with freaking Super7. You don't even have the guts to slap me in the face yourself with your scammy pre-order system, because HasLab is a total joke, because they put the stuff they put up there, and at the price points they put it up there, and the junk that they sell people on is just amazing, and what they use to sell people, how they use people to do it. But this might be even worse, sending it to Super 7 to say, we're gonna market something towards the fans of this cartoon show that we kind of didn't intentionally buy the rights to, because Hasbro bought the rights to the Sunbow library largely because of the Anne Bryant lawsuit against Ford Kinder over royalties for all of her theme songs, which I don't even know if that's been fully litigated at this point, because I know that she wasn't getting her proper royalties. I don't know if Kinder was ever getting the proper royalties, but she certainly wasn't. And this whole situation is just embarrassing. And I felt that I needed to speak about it because, at best, YouTube's going to be like, well, it's just another Super 7 scam. And they might get into, and then they might transition to, why are you doing it based on cartoon? Why are you doing it based on cartoon? It's like, because the cartoon was fucking popular. That's why. It's fucking, I'm sure that Shout Factory is still making money on those half-ass DVDs of all the of the G.I. Joe cartoon. It's still in print in some fashion, if I'm not mistaken. And of course they stream it on YouTube, on just about everywhere that they can stream the damn thing. So it's gotta be, somebody's gotta want it. But this is just, these toys are just absolutely misguided, and I feel very much ashamed that I'm thinking about getting the 7-inch ones. I really do. It's tickling that desire to me to have, accurate toys that are accurately based on a cartoon that I love so much, and I feel ashamed of it. I could save the money and get like a couple of Masterpiece Transformers or knockoffs of the Masterpiece Transformers, to be truth be told, and feel a little bit better about myself, or keep the money to, feed myself. But it's just, this whole situation stinks, and I just don't think, and I know that a lot of people know that it stinks, but I don't think they just understand how much of a slap it is into the face of somebody that likes this damn cartoon show and is just like, please, sir, give me fucking something. You're not going to give me the shows as they aired because you fucking think the broadcast masters are a horrible thing. That's a whole drama in and of itself that I could do do a whole video, and on my silly little website, I freaking went through all 95 G.I. Joe episodes and all 98 Transformers episodes, showing off. And hell, the Transformers episodes, I don't even have all of the errors in the first season, because holy shit, it's just such a mess. So it's like, you finally give me something that theoretically should be good, but it's totally not good, because it's a fly-by-night producer. It's not in-house, because Hasbro doesn't care enough that they can't even be bothered to slap me in the face with their own corporate ordering system. And the worst part is that the thing that should be the best part, the little 4-inch figures, are ruined by the fact that they have no articulation to speak of compared to actual G.I. Joes. And no, and the worst part is, it's going to sell. It will actually sell, and nobody will be bothered by this, except for a few people that just hate Super 7 for a lot of good reasons.